Hello and welcome to the long-awaited third episode of Muff. I am your favourite Geekdom International host, William Scott. We'll also have with us Krinatar.
How's it going, everyone?
And Mr. Jacob Stanley King Hog Supreme Right.
Emperor Hog, get it right. Because what's a king to an emperor, man?
Don't know, you have to ask Dragon Quest.
Yep.
Folks, today we're going to be covering Final Fantasy Dimensions.
The overly priced iOS game?
I think reasonably priced given the amount of content.
And it has gone down in value slightly.
Yeah.
Down to like $11, so it's not that bad.
Now,
Yes.
but I need to discuss the Square Enix overpricing per chapter.
Yes.
Well, they were practicing, weren't they, ready for the Final Fantasy 15 Chibi edition.
They're getting really good at those microtransactions.
Very, very good. Well, we played Brave Exvius. We know what that's all about.
Yeah, no
No.
more buying Lapis. No, we're not doing Lapis, no.
Somebody got caught during not Record Keeper, but
All the bravest.
All the
I
fucking
was-
bravest Krinatal. How much
I know.
money did you spend?
I spent way too much money. I spent $28.
Jesus!
Ugh.
So you spent more money on a smash your hand against the phone game rather than Final Fantasy Dimensions, which I think I can safely say is actually a Final Fantasy game.
Yes, it is. It's
It has a
well,
story.
thoroughly thought out mobile Final Fantasy game.
No, it's merely a clone. It's a husk of another series that tries to duplicate itself, but
Everything
comes
has
up
to
short.
duplicate itself. Anything that's like all pixelated in 16-bit style all looks the same. Can't really.
Yeah, but this is almost like a reimagining of Final Fantasy V. Let's be
Yeah.
honest.
it's
They've
1
tried to
through
go down
5
that
pretty much. Like
yeah.
So, Jake, what have you been playing recently?
anything and everything.
Shooting for your 18-goal game a week quota.
God. Not if I'm going to be playing things like every Final Fantasy. Mobile, too, by the way. That's not burning up a whole lot of time playing Mobius. But Dragon Quest V, got that a couple days ago, and I'm just butchering my way through it. So,
Enjoying it?
oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I look forward to the review of that one then. What about you, Krinatar? What have you been playing?
I've been playing mostly Final Fantasy Dimension 2, so kind of the head of the game, guys. So it's a spoiler for later. We'll talk about that in another episode. I've been covering a couple hours of 14 per day and throwing in a couple bits of Horizon Zero Dawn, and I've gone back to play Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice on Steam, which Newtland just covered, which it was a great episode. Didn't want to spoil anything, so I don't want to finish the whole thing. So, other than that, it's just trying to live life, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The key
Myself, I've mostly been playing the Hoggip game.
Oh yeah, we've been playing that all day.
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of Hoggip in the background, which is good fun.
I've updated that thing at least like 50 times this week.
It just looks like Beaverla just is able to listen to music all goddamn day while at the job.
Probably just looking at mine, I think I'm like 700 points or something.
Yeah, I'm in the nearly 800 mark for Hoggip.
Yeah, I think mostly mine's all just reading manga all day. Like I read tons of it. Like every chapter I read of something online is like 60 to 80 pages, so I count it as a comic book.
Hogib, great app, tremendous app. Go download it.
Tremendous app.
Wonderful app, tremendous app, wonderful.
Big shout out to Mr. J Hizzle.
Jay Hizzle does great work.
Yeah,
Thank God he made that thing. I was getting kind of tired of updating the forums. It was kind of annoying.
I was getting tired of filling out my Excel spreadsheet, having to remember what I've watched over the weekend. Did I watch that this weekend, or was that last weekend?
And me trying to argue with Joe and Schweiss about whether or not I had 4 games beaten or 15 games beaten. Like, put it in there.
No more. We have the wonderful Hoggip.
Right.
Alrighty, guys. Well, enough shooting shit. Should we get into it? Should we talk story?
let's.
long ago, there was a great world war ended by the efforts of the Avalon Empire, which became the dominant power in the land. The story begins with Sol, Diana, Glaive, and Aegis being sent by the King of Lux to investigate a powerful crystal linked to the balance of the world. Simultaneously, Noct, Alba, Dusk, and Sarah are sent by the Avalon Empire to break their treaty with Lux by stealing the same crystal. On the way to the crystal shrine, Sol's party aids a mysterious man called Elgo, who agrees to accompany them to the temple. When the two groups meet within the crystal shrine, the crystal's guardian spirit attacks them. Upon its guardians defeat, the crystal shatters and splits the world into two halves, the world of light, ever in daylight, and the world in darkness, which day never rises. Sol, Aegis, Dusk, and Sarah remain in the first half of the world and become the warriors of light, with Elgo accompanying them. Noct, Alba, Diana, and Glaive find themselves in the other half and become the warriors of darkness. Both groups of warriors travel the split world in search of each other. As they travel, they retrieve the fragments of the crystal, which grant them the new abilities and gradually cause the world to reform. They also encounter the Avalon Empire and their 4 generals, Vata, Bogavega, Asmodai, and Styx. All 4 generals are defeated except for Vata, who decides to aid the warriors for unknown reasons. In the battle between the Warriors of the Light and Bogavega aboard an Avalon ship, Elgo seemingly sacrifices himself to save the Warriors of Light. As the two worlds begin to merge, Dusk and Alba reveal their plans to go to the ancient floating city known as Mysidia. Once the Warriors of Light arrive and meet the Elder of Mysidia, Sophia, the Avalon Empire attempts to strike Mysidia with an airship superweapon, Heliogobalas. The Warriors destroy the ship with the aid of Dr. Lugay, the living doll Argy, and Barbara and her dragons. Sophia then helps the warriors gain the last remaining crystal in the world of light within the caves of Mysidia. After gaining the crystal's light, Mysidia falls to the ground while simultaneously the warriors of darkness are aided by a mysterious man known as the Mask, gaining the last crystal fragment remaining in the world of darkness. Succeeding in gaining the fragment, however, the Mask dies. Before his death, he reveals himself to be Elgo's other half that formed when the world split in two, and asks the warriors of darkness to take care of his other half as he dies. After both parties gain the fragments, the split world merges and both parties are reunited. However, most of the people in the world have disappeared, unbeknownst to the party. Attempting to make a frontal attack at the Avalon Empire, the warriors discover a barrier protecting Avalon and 8 gates across the world linked to the realm called the Rift. Upon entering one of the gates, the warriors encounter a dark sphere in which Sophia explains it is a substance found only in the Rift known as dark matter, and that Avalon's goal is to harvest it for their evil purposes. Vata explains the Avalon Empire is guarding the dark matter across the world with their generals, and who have been revived from their undead forms. After collecting all 8 pieces of dark matter and defeating the undead generals, the dark matter fuses together, creating a new crystal and revealing the crystal split the world to protect itself from the Empire's plans, as if the world knew. The crystal then breaks the barrier that was protecting Avalon, allowing the warriors to enter. Upon entering Avalon, they defeat all the divine generals. Once the warriors attack the Emperor, it is revealed that they were battling with his armor, and that he was never really there in the first place. After this revelation, a new gate to the Rift opens within Avalon. With the warriors entering the Rift, they encounter Vata once again, who explains that they are in the void and warns them that in order for them to proceed, someone must take their own life for this plan to succeed. As they traverse the void, they encounter the armies of Nil, having to fight the 4 magical blades of Nil. After defeating them, another gate appears in the void. Dr. Lugay reports to the warriors that the gates are what is known as the Dark Flow, and that is draining the life force of the world back into the Nil, the dark dimension of shadows. Vata attempts to aid the warriors in destroying the Dark Flow by being engulfed by it and attempting to control it. As being engulfed by the Dark Flow, reveals he was originally a part of a village that Avalon had destroyed. He trained to be the right general of Avalon, but when he discovers he could never be a match for them, he gave up on his plans and decided to wander the world with the warriors. Vata fails at the cost of his own life to defend the world, and the Dark Flow remains. The warriors then enter the Dark Flow, leading to the world of Nil. Coming to the palace at the near center of the Nil, they encounter the Emperor himself, who is revealed to be Elgo. Dun, dun, dun. Elgo explains to the party that he wishes to use the crystals to achieve immortality, and predicted the crystals, sensing their purpose, would split the world, hoping that they halt his plans altogether. Then utilizes the power of the nil to move between the worlds and ensure the warriors collect the crystals in an effort to restore the world so that he could achieve his goals. The warriors and Elgo fight. With Elgo using the power of nil against them, he is finally defeated. Elgo loses control of the nil and mutates him into a dark monster. The warriors, seeing that nil will ravage the world unchecked, fight the transformed Elgo and win over. Yep. As nil reverses its flow and life is returned to the world, all the warriors flee, apart from Dusk and Alba, who stay behind and are presumed dead. Soon they are revealed to be alive. Saved by the spirits of Vada and the Mask, the game ends with the warriors reunited in the world and its crystal restored.
Woohoo! Success.
It's a pretty good summation of a game that took way too long.
Yes.
This was a 60-hour game.
Yeah, with 4 whole parts, and each whole part having 3 sub-chapters in each of the 4 parts.
All irrelevant.
Yeah,
all irrelevant.
All of that story that you just said as well was pretty much all contained within Chapter 4.
All of it.
Well, the last paragraph.
Yeah. So the prelude opens up, and you've got the 2 different groups of characters, and then they all meet in the middle when the crystal blows up. And this is kind of Square Enix's hook to get you to buy the game, because that's the free section.
Yeah.
So it takes you all the way up to that point. Crystal explodes, all this stuff's happening, and then it shows you a montage of characters who are not important to the story and makes it very, very confusing.
Yes. Do you want to know more? Sure.
Yeah, sure I do, because I've just played this game for like 20 minutes.
For $14.99, you can have the whole thing.
Or you can pay in chapters.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no.
Microtransactions.
So, what did you guys think of the story? Was it good? Did you enjoy it?
I appreciated it for what it was, because it feels like a really nice classic FF game for a story. It doesn't feel as super fleshed out as a lot of the newer ones are, but they did a pretty nice job for the 8 characters that were there. Though I feel some of the side characters could have had a better backstory and more part in the game, because it felt like he was like, hi, important person who I'll never have to interact with ever again.
Yes, you're going to teach me a job.
Yeah, that's really all
we'll get that in gameplay now.
Yeah, they're job device. That's all they are.
Yeah, because you meet a Dragoon who joins your team, then stuff happens, then they leave your team, you get their crystal shard, and you then have the ability to become a Dragoon yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dancer and a couple of other ones like Bard, because this does have a very much FF5 job system further down the line.
It does.
But I thought the story was quite good up until Chapter 3, and then it just ended.
Well, did your universe die and collapse on itself? What happened there?
Yeah, the universe did collapse on itself on Christmas Day, of all times, as well. So, unfortunately, I have not finished Final Fantasy Dimensions. I lost. I know. I wasn't there for the Brave Extras review, and I now have failed to finish the next game. But in fairness, I lost 20 hours of gameplay on Christmas Day. So I was pretty livid at the time.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was using my work phone to play the game, which is probably my first mistake. And we have policies around passwords and how many times you can enter it incorrectly. Ooh. And unfortunately, my password had changed the day before Christmas, and then on Christmas Day I couldn't remember it. So my work phone got wiped, and then I had to wait a week until I went back to work to get backup that was on my work PC. Restored my phone, and I'd gone from 32 hours of gameplay to 9 hours. And I was all the way back at the beginning of Chapter 2, whereas I was at the end of Chapter 3. So I gave up. I went online, looked on Wikipedia, and read the rest of the story.
What a shame.
But I think that deserves a completed.
It gives you the right to review the game, but doesn't count for a hog.
Doesn't count.
No, it does not count for a hog.
Does not count for a hog.
Does not count for hog. So I can't put it on Hogib.
No, you can't.
It's not going anywhere. So I accept that, especially the fact that I thought I was near the end of the game, being 32 hours in, but I think I had another 30 hours to go by the sounds of it.
Yeah, I'm kind of having the same issue with Dimensions 2. I'm about 40 hours in, and I feel like I'm at the high point of the game, but I feel like I got like another 10 to 15 hours left in the game.
So, with any standpoint, like, were there any points of the actual story that stood out to you guys?
This is the first time I've ever seen that. Let's see. I like the war clashes in each of the areas you go to. It's not like each one's like, oh, hi, bye. They fleshed out a little bit of each one. They tried.
I disagree. I disagree.
I don't think it was strong. I just think they tried. I didn't say it was. It's not great.
It tried to be early Dragon Quest with it, and it is not fleshed out in my opinion. It is not. I felt it was bare bones, going from each area, and then I'm gone, and then I go to another area, and then I'm gone. It's exactly how I felt.
Yeah, that was very much what it was, at least for me, up to Chapter 3. I don't know if it expanded after that.
It did expand in the last chapter, but at that point, it felt...
Yeah, I think really the only thing they really expanded on was the fact that they gave you a reason for your job to be more explained, but not the characters to be more explained.
Because they're minute and one-noted.
Yeah, when you got to the desert country and you talk to Matoya, who is a reference to a lot of the women in Final Fantasy games, you learn the dancer.
Final Fantasy 1, isn't she? She has a cave and she's missing her eye.
Yeah.
You have to get it from the elf.
You learn the dancer job, and then you can actually go back through every town and go to each of the bars and do a dance there, and you learn the skill of each of those towns through the dance. That's how you learn your skills. So I thought that was a little bit nice to explain how you learn all your skills as a dancer. But I think they could have done better with a lot of the other jobs too. I don't think it's.
Yeah. Well,
it's like they tried. I don't think they did a good enough job. But they tried. I'm not gonna say it's shitty. It's not terrible. It's not. It's a nice rounded off. Like, put a pin in it, we're done.
I occasionally had to sort of jump back to go get the odd summon, because in every area there was a cave, like an additional cave, where you could dive down and grab the summon.
I took forever with Leviathan.
Well, we can get forever. We can get to that in gameplay again. But one of the things I did like about the story, which I found quite amusing, was the special magazines that they had dotted around everywhere. I don't know if you guys found these super sexy magazines that they had lying around.
The dirty magazines at each of the special locations near the back end of each of the dungeons, where if you were either knocked or sold, you would get two different perspectives of the magazine.
Yeah, actually, it didn't matter which character you had, whichever character you had as your main character and was appearing on the screen, they would all have a different type of dialogue when they find the magazine. Like, Sarah would always get really embarrassed. That Alba would be like, "Oh my god, look at this!"
Alba was awesome. I wasted one on Knocked, and I was disappointed.
He didn't care. He did not.
There was nothing to it. Nothing was springing up to the occasion. Funny. Nothing was happening.
He is literally a dead soul. He's got nothing.
Glaive was quite funny. He would get very, very embarrassed, and an Alba would appear behind him and ask him what he was embarrassed about.
Yeah.
So that was quite good. But do we want to discuss Alba? Because she's the character that we normally get in a Final Fantasy game, where they're supposed to be the young, jokey character.
Yeah.
So normally I find very annoying, like the Rikus and the Yufis of this world. But
they're the ones who are a lot of. She's like, they're normally those side characters are up in your face and try to be all squeaky, high pitchy, and just like trying to be in your face about it. Alba was like, "Hey, I'm awesome. I know I'm awesome. You know I'm awesome. We're all here for me. I'm awesome."
And I think
that's it's.
And I get this perspective of her being talking to us and not necessarily just being in there for the story. It's kind of like breaking the third wall, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, she is.
I got that vibe a lot more than I do with the other giddy characters in the series.
Yeah.
Mm. But yeah, she was very, very good. She really made me laugh.
She didn't feel like a plucky youngster sitting in the background being all peppy trying to get in your face about it. She was like more of an older sister who had known the ways of the world and like to describe it all the time.
Yeah.
Which made her character fun.
There's a couple of the jokes.
Brother.
There are a couple of the jokes that don't land, though.
Yeah, you're always going to get that. It's text-based, so...
It's like, you can't make witty comments, and I don't think FF's really known for super, really witty comments and being super funny.
Right, but I can use an example for one as being horrible. It was them trying to introduce themselves as Cloud and Aerith. That was an interesting part that made me just smack my forehead. You guys remember that?
I remember them showing up as separate characters, one clad in black, one clad in white in the other party. Them being split into two different parties. Dusk goes to the world of light. Alba goes to the world of dark.
I don't remember the Cloud and Aerith reference.
Yeah, I can't fully remember her doing a Cloud and Aerith reference.
I do. It was interesting. It was, yeah.
So what did you think of the main characters, Soul and Nox? And do we want to talk about the fact that FF15 seems to have got all of its character names from this game?
Well, I mean, I can't say it's got all its characters, but I mean, there's a lot of highlights.
You got Noctis and Glaive, who, Glaive obviously goes on to form the King's Glaive.
Boy, if they did that in 15, that would be great. Like a nice little nod to both ends of that. Like, we were, the King's Glaive was founded by one knight back in this old kingdom of Lux, and his name was Glaive. Like,
wow. That makes sense. Hey. It is. I think we've connected it now, like they connected Final Fantasy X and 7, due to the fact that one character shared a name with a corporation.
Yeah.
And Noct was the prince of a kingdom in Final Fantasy Dimensions.
Yep.
Buttervargan, or whatever it was called.
Falgavard.
Yes.
F. There's an F in there.
So that might be the descendant of Insomnia.
Could be. I mean, he had to repopulate his kingdom, so that's fine.
I assume he repopulates with Alba in the end.
That'd be great. That would be great.
Bunch of crazy, witty motherfuckers roaming the streets.
Right.
Sounds like my type of utopia.
Right. All I can see is top hats and showgirls all the time, and then just like whipping on everybody and all this show. Oh, God, that's funny. She makes a nice appearance in Dimensions 2. But we'll get to that in the next review.
Save that for the future reviews.
Like, if you like the fourth wall breaking stuff, then you're going to enjoy Alpha in Dimensions 2. But is there anything else in the story that I think you're trying to make note of anything else that the...
Well, again, there's a lot of reference to old Final Fantasy games. Like during the Dragoon story, there's a crippled Dragoon who's like the only one left, and his name is Ricard, who was one of the characters from Final Fantasy 2, who was the Dragoon character that you pick up en route.
Ricard, right?
Yeah, Ricard. As with all good FF2 characters, he's the one that died.
Oh, yeah.
Because that game is a massacre.
It's like a little black hole in my mind. I remember beating it, and then I immediately forgot about it.
It's basically Star Wars. It's easy to follow. But yeah, any character that joins that full slot in your party is just cannon fodder in 2.
Yeah.
So I did find it amusing that obviously Ricard died in number 2, and then in this one he was crippled.
Worthless. Just absolutely worthless.
Pretty much most of them were pretty much worthless, except for probably Matoya and the ninja, because everybody else was pretty much presumed dead.
I didn't get as far as the ninja.
There was word that later on in Chapter 4, if you found Graham, who was the... not Graham. Gladius. No, Graham's the sword. I'm talking about... no, Gawain. Sorry, Gawain.
Oh, the drunkard, yeah.
Yeah, apparently he didn't die in his battle, but you can go back and find him in the castle. Anybody go back and look for him?
No.
Oh.
You got to see a nice dialogue between her and Sarah. I didn't get a chance to get to it.
No, unfortunately not. So was the ending good for you guys? Was it a nice payoff?
Yes and no. Like, by the end, it all made sense to me, but doesn't mean that I enjoyed it. Like, I did not expect it being Elgo at the end. I'll say that much. But it wasn't like...
good boss switch.
That was a nice surprise, but like once I didn't feel like I achieved victory when I beat him. Not that I felt for him and anything. I don't think he was hard enough as a boss or complicated enough to feel like, okay, the payoff for this is nice.
So he was no X-Death?
No. No.
Because Final Fantasy V is easy until you get to X-Death.
Like you need to struggle with this game. Like I got some moves from the fusion abilities, and literally every skill I had was doing almost over damage limit every time. So the 99999, I was like,
well, yeah, they provide us with plenty of grinding in every chapter to be able to do this. Because you're wasting 15 hours of your life on each of these chapters, so you definitely are leveled for that final battle.
Yes. I had to go back and learn a lot of skills.
Well, should we get into a gameplay?
Yeah, sure.
I think we're there. We've touched on it a few times. So the gameplay section, This is it an active time battle?
Yes.
Is it ATB?
Yes.
Autobrated?
I'm gonna put a dot in that. Like, as those of us in this community, we are not gonna reference that game anymore. We all know that game is shit. It is not good. It is terrible.
Okay. I promise you, it's the last time I mention it.
But yes, so it is an active time battle. There is a time sequence to your commands. You can set it so that you can allow the enemies to wait for you, or you can allow it to keep running behind you if you wanted to. But they gave you plenty of time. The enemies were slow enough where you could actually just make your decisions and be fine with it. Though I think the menu was a little bit weird for theirs because I think they gave you too many options in such a small screen.
Yeah.
And when you got your fifth person, it would literally be like a difficulty trying to press that bottom corner to get that last guy to do something. I don't know if you had a little bit of a struggle trying to press the buttons down there and having to scroll in the menu slot.
No, not too much difficulty. What phone was you using? Have you got a fairly small screen?
I got an iPhone 6.
iPhone 6. So it's the same screen as mine. I've got the 6S.
I got a very small phone. It's not very big at all. But I know how to use it very well. But yeah, every single touchscreen, every single game that is on Android or iOS, the touchscreen does annoy me when I'm trying to press things. Probably because of how small my phone is. But I understand exactly what you're saying with that, Crinatol.
Yeah. Also, did you guys have any hurdles trying to get used to the up, down, left, and right unfixed movement cursor?
No, I was kind of used to it from Brave Exvius.
Yeah.
You do the explorations.
I was having this weird of a time trying to get the thing to sit still, and if you touch the screen at the bottom and you double tapped, it would go back.
Oh, I kind of had it where sometimes it would be slightly off screen, so I wouldn't be able to go left or right.
Yeah, that's another thing I had to do. Like, I had to keep tapping the screen, and sometimes you had to let go of the screen to see where you are, and you had to move around.
Yeah, this game definitely felt rough around the edges in parts like that. I feel like, I mean, this was quite an old game for Square, wasn't it? They eventually ported this over to Android and iOS from a different mobile device that was only available in Japan, if I remember rightly. And
yeah, I think this was originally called Final Fantasy Legends.
Yes. Yeah, and they had it on some sort of flip phone.
Yeah.
to reference the age of this game. So I feel like, so they obviously ported it onto the iPhone's touchscreens, and then they had to add in, I think they had to add in the extra movement cursors and stuff. So this was like their first attempt before they moved on to games like Brave Exvius, where those sort of things aren't really a problem.
Right.
But then the main part of the gameplay for this game is the job system.
Yes.
Where they've tried to imitate FF5 and tried to improve on it by adding things like fusion abilities.
Yeah.
I think FF5 is a lot better.
Oh, FF5 is more fleshed out, but they tried by allowing you to have 2 separate job skills if you've learned high enough of a level in each of those job skills. And then there's also the fusion ability skill once you've unlocked the ability of a fusion. But it's random whenever you learn the skill for fusion abilities. There's no way of telling the math of when you're going to learn that skill. I actually tried to learn a magic bomb skill, level 2. It took 55 battles for my character to learn it.
Because you have to do a certain... You have to have 2 characters with a certain job type, and then they have to perform a certain action, don't they?
Yeah.
And then there's like a small chance that you learn the special fusion of it.
Like for Magic Bomb, you would need Fire 2 and then Cure 2. And you would have to use those each a certain number of times to unlock the fusion ability. And again, it's random. You don't know when you're going to learn it, because sometimes you learn it in the first shot. Sometimes it takes 55 battles to learn the darn skill.
Right.
I think I learned Magic Bomb by accident. That was like one of the few.
Agreed. I learned Magic Bomb too. Nothing really else to my recollect.
Did anybody go and collect Bahamut at the end and try to learn those fusions with Bahamut? Because those are the top skills.
I did all the summons, but I didn't even care much for the fusion abilities and trying to like do all that intricate stuff into it. I just wanted to get the game done. If you're looking for an example into what the fusion abilities are, look straight to Chrono Trigger for this.
Yeah.
Because it's that exact same system when you're trying to figure out Chrono and Meryl getting a combo. You just have to keep using lightning and ice together, and lightning and water, sorry.
Right, but in Chrono Trigger, they make it more fun and interactive. Like the effects are better, the interaction is better, and you pair between 2 team members. This one is just like, okay, if you're learning a fusion skill, you have to do it on your own. Your own character learns it, and they don't pair together to do special skills. They kind of undercut the effectiveness of each of these special skills, because I don't think there's any elemental weaknesses for any of the bosses.
Right.
So it's not really worth your time to really learn the elemental ones.
Yeah, so it's also akin to the those bands that are in the after years, and it's like they're nerfed. Yeah. They're not even effective.
Right.
Bands, for that matter.
Yeah, I didn't even find the bands in after years that effective, to be honest with you. I kind of feel like
there's a few, man. It's
I'm sure there's a couple which are OP, but I'm just like, you get to these games and you play it, and they've added in these extra abilities like fusion and bands, and it's just not as good as the original. Like, the original had a good battle system. Like, the original battle systems of 5 and 4 were good. So they've tried to add to it, and I just don't think it's really effective.
Yeah.
I looked at the fusion abilities, I learned one by accident, and I was just like, no, I don't give a crap about this. Just stick auto battle on, give everyone a sword, and off I go.
I spent a little bit extra time trying to figure out all the fusion ability lists. Some of the ones that I found were actually important to me to get a better handle on the defeating bosses in a swifter manner to get through the game faster. I tried to learn Hastiga, Mighty Wall, Dark Star, and Sunder Earth. Hastiga, as you already know, will increase the entire party's speed. Mighty Wall gives Protect, Shell, and Invulnerability for the entire team.
They didn't call it Mighty Guard?
No, Mighty Guard is a skill. You have to learn that, and you have to learn Warcry from Warrior. Mighty Guard is a Paladin skill, and then Warcry is a Warrior skill. Learn both of those, and you learn Mighty Guard.
Mighty Wall. I didn't have Warcry. That was a warrior skill, yeah.
And then Dark Star is a skill where you learn Flare and from a Magus, and you have to use Diablos together to learn Dark Star. And then Sunder Earth is a mixture where you have to get Titan and Tremor from the Ninja Job. And what that does is break the damage limit 1 in 6 tries.
So did you find those abilities effective?
I found them. They allowed me to kill bosses in 4 rounds.
Oh yeah, so they are effective.
Because Dark Star is the highest magic damage you can do, and Sunder Earth is the highest physical attack damage you could do.
Damn.
So I can essentially I'll pop like 6 of each of these from each different characters, because I can never get 2 characters to be the same skill. I picked their original classes when I started, which is a bad idea. Like, you should, if you want to learn fusion skills, go specifically mold your characters into learning fusion skills, like learning all the mage skills and then all the monk skills. So that way you can have all the like specialty, like one-hit kill things.
Yeah, that's kind of the route I was going down. It's just like, if I had a character who was a monk to begin with, I wanted him to get to level 20 monk before I would start branching out and trying other jobs and integrating those abilities.
And it does feel like it takes literally forever for you to get to level 20 for that job, because the points needed for that last bit are just monstrous, because some range from between 300 points and some range between 600 points. And sometimes you get a battle that only gives you like 5. I'm like, God, it's going to take forever.
But at least there's Auto Battler.
Good old Auto Battle.
Yes. But these skills to me were actually worth my time trying to learn it to get these skills. Some of the other ones were Earth Shatter, which is a monk skill, and a white mage skill where you learn Fast Punch from monk and Holy from white mage. And essentially it's like shooting Kamehameha out of your fist on a single target, which does a damage breaker of 999. But it's a single target.
Goku.
Yeah, so it's nice if you're doing enough against bosses, but against like mass mobs, it's not really worth your time. That's why I found Sunder Earth and Dark Star a little bit easier. Sunder Earth is a single target, but once you learn it, it doesn't take up any time. It's just a physical attack. You just instantly... And again, when trying to learn all these fusion skills, a lot of it hindered on the fact that you collect the summon. And it took forever to get some of these summers. Like, I literally had to spend about 10 solid hours training in the ninjas area to get Leviathan. For some reason, that guy is a league of his own trying to fight him. Like, I'm prepared. I can kill any boss except him when I got there.
Was it like Leviathan from Final Fantasy 15?
Yes.
Did you have to become a god and fly around in order to kill it?
No, I had to go 15 levels over his level to be able to do enough damage to hurt him.
Yeah.
None of my thunder skills were doing enough damage to hurt him. So I had to go find Titan, Ifrit, Shiva, Odin, Diablos, and then come back and then go kill him.
Oh, so did you not collect summons as you went along?
At the beginning, no. I got to about halfway into Chapter 3, and then I was like, I should probably go back and go get these, because I was not winning when I was doing it.
Yeah, because every time I skipped a summon, I then found the next area quite difficult. So I found if I got the summons while I was in the area, that was enough grinding to get my guy powerful enough that I could then bruise through the next area.
Yeah.
So the first thing I do in every area is then go for a summon, which then gave me enough grinding out to actually make myself okay to move on to the next stage of the story.
Exactly. I did the same thing.
Did you guys collect all the summons, or did you guys skip any of them?
All the summons up to where I was.
I collected every summon. The completionist in me just had to get it done. So,
right.
Plus, it clearly helped out with the balance issue of apparently going to each area and making it seem a little bit rougher. So I am kind of happy I did that.
I think that was a nice little touch. I found that they gave you reason to go back and collect them, because going back and training yourself up to kill the summons made your day easier in the next section of the game.
Yes.
Where everybody felt like a pushover.
Yeah.
But on a side note, did anybody worry about the dwarves at all? Because I know that if you're with the dwarves and you go into that cave, that the only way to kill the monsters, you have to do magic damage to them. There's iron ore and mithril ore and silver ore in there. Did anybody try to collect any of that?
I did. I managed to get myself a nice little shield out of it.
Yeah, if you collect enough of them, they sell at the slight later in chapter 4, which you didn't get to, Phil.
No, you can buy them straight away.
No, they changed the names in chapter 4 to the highest grade weapons.
Ah, right, okay.
So they become different in each chapter. They are the highest if you go back and collect them at the time, but then they change name in each chapter.
Right, okay, that makes sense.
So I don't know if anybody tried to get I got a couple of the hats and a couple of the shields, but I didn't get enough. I don't know if anybody tried to collect all of them for the ultimate weapons.
No, I kind of realised I'd have to keep diving back into the caves, and I just didn't really care for it.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of that magic cave because I did not have enough magic casters in my team, and it was just, oh yeah, I can kill you with one punch, but I can't literally kill you because you have to die by magic damage.
But I'll tell you what was good, Magic Bomb. I basically just magic bombed my way through the entire cave, and that was it.
Oh man!
Because I had my one mage who was obviously getting drained of MP, and I suddenly realised that Alba was sitting there with Magic Bomb. I was just like, oh, let's try this, and it just absolutely wiped everything.
Yeah. Sometimes the fusion skills are a really nice pan out when you get them.
It definitely.
I've always had problems with magic areas where you can only kill things with magic. Because I'm very much a hack and slash guy. I like to save MP for curing. So
I like a little bit of both personally when I am trying to get things done. I like to be able to just hack and slash them, but then it becomes like, okay, if I can keep pressing the A button all day, what's the point of playing this game? It might as well just be a tap game.
So you mean Final Fantasy 15?
Yeah, pretty much.
I was going to say All the Bravest. Mention it again.
Or we go back to the Facebook version of Brave X. It's just like literally just be tapping. Because that's on Facebook now. But is there anything else in gameplay you guys want to make note of?
I will make note that it seems like the classes themselves seem a little bit nerfed, and the ultimate payoff for these classes is the fusion abilities. Because even at level 20, some of the skills I was getting is like, oh, okay, I literally went and took Glaive all the way to monk level 20, because I thought it was funny, considering he has a ponytail, to make him a monk. I mean, it just fit. And I remember putting
my monk too.
not Noctis, goddammit. Noct.
No, we can say Noctis.
I know. All the way to level 20 Paladin, and it wasn't that much of a payoff.
Oh, so you didn't try and make him a Dark Knight? Because I made him a Dark Knight once I realized that his home country was part of the Dark Knight faction.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I changed somebody else to a Dark Knight. I can't remember who. But I kind of set one set job to each person and got it up to level 20. If I knew the fusion abilities would be that more effective, I would have mixed and matched. But I assumed I would have gotten tolerable skills by each of the classes, and I did not feel that way at all. I feel that it's nerfed from 5. So
yeah, I can give you that one.
But then that's their way of introducing the fusion ability and trying to get you to use it. If the job system was as good as it was in 5, then you wouldn't bother using the fusion abilities.
Yeah,
I didn't really want to use them anyway. But
another thing that I probably liked about it is that if you had the Dark Knight job and you had the Ninja and you maxed Ninja out with Dark Knight, all of their skills you could give double attack to. All magic skills would be double attack. So you can double swing for every skill that you had. So if you wanted to do Dark Blade, which is the final skill from the Dark Knight that doesn't use any of your health, which was the one downside of Dark Knight, so you got to use your health to do damage. You could do it for 99 damage twice over. So it was a nice little pair for the final skills. Did anybody find nice payoff for each of the jobs? Like when you reach 20, like the special skill, not the magic, your ability, your ability, your final ability from your bonus.
I don't feel really only to that point. I only got 2 skills up to level 20 in the end. I didn't notice anything from it. I assume I would have, obviously, once I started getting into chapter 4, I just started maxing out a lot more and would have noticed it.
Yeah, I tried to go to monk to a lot of the classes so I can gain the health bonus at the end of the monk class, and then I would pair them with ninja so that I can get the speed bonus and double attack. So, alright. Anything else you guys want to note?
The fact that the RNG battles is like every 3 steps. It's like FF Origins PS1 version. It's pretty rough. Like, not rough in the sense of difficult, but rough in the sense of annoying on why the game takes 60 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does have a high battle rate.
Very high.
Not as high as FF3, but...
I think I found it a lot higher when you got to that mixed world that's not light or dark, but the dust world, just moving around in any of the areas is great for experience.
You mean for starting Chapter 4? Or at least near the end of Chapter 3? Yeah, and that's where they extend the game for 20 hours where it should be like the last 4.
Yeah. All right, guys. Did you
wrapped up gameplay quite nicely?
Did you guys want to talk about music and design?
Yeah, we can move into that. I think we've got a nice little song to play as well.
All right. Let's go into music. The music was created by a pairing of Nobuo Uematsu and Naoshi Mizuta, released on August 8th, 2011. Did you guys find anything interesting about the music at all?
They kind of split it between the light and darkness, which I liked. So they had like different musical styles between when you was in the light world and the dark world. But other than that, I can't actually remember any songs at all.
I've kind of had the same kind of perspective from mine. I did enjoy the split between lights and dark sides. I tried listening to some of the other music before we listened to the episode again, and a lot of it's just all gone flat for me. It's just like classic Nobuo things. It's just like, there's some recreations of the Chocobo theme. The Victory fanfare was a bit flat for me, where it had the beginning of like the song Victory, but then for some reason it went into like those songs you hear in the normal Final Fantasy games where you are just like exploring the world. They mixed the Victor fanfare with that kind of music, so like it has like
overture kind of stuff,
like da 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 da, and then it was a do 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 da 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 da,
exploring themes.
Yeah, I'm like it doesn't mix together well. It doesn't get the same vibe of like, oh, I feel excited, I'm going to go exploring. That's not what the moment is. The moment is the victory, and they cut it short.
I mean, it was kind of awesome because I just turned the volume down of the music, and then I just listened to an audiobook. So yeah, I heard most of the Stormlight Archive while I've been playing this, so that's pretty cool.
This is where you just put whatever music you want in place of it, and you just somehow get Dream Theater to match with it. Prog rock, prog metal all the way.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, that's how I defeated X-Death on Final Fantasy V. He'd kicked my bum too many times, so I just put on some Slayer and went for him.
Somehow Angel of Death just rose to the occasion and gave you boosted stats to take out X-Death.
Angel of Death. Yeah, Angel of Death. Right? Yeah, just the Raining Blood album. There is no Final Fantasy. Yeah. There is no end boss in Final Fantasy that can survive me while I'm playing that song.
I also just put on like the deep hardcore digital techno remixes that I have, and just sit there and just grind out all the levels for like an hour, and then come back and just completely decimate the entire boss.
Yeah. So same thing with you guys. Same thing with you guys. I had no problem with anything really with the soundtrack. There wasn't anything coming out to me like just banging on my eardrums wanting to make me kill myself, but I can't remember anything from the soundtrack either. So
yeah, there's no horrible S-Star theme, but there's no standout tracks like Cosmo Canyon or anything like that. It's all just a bit flat. I think it's how many was it, like 42 tracks or something?
There was 43 tracks in there.
But I am getting a vibe, like, not too long ago I played Lightning Returns, so it actually kind of sounds like that to me. but that could just be my ears tuning into it. It may not even be the same composer, but it totally sounds like Lightning Return soundtrack. So,
I'm not sure who recorded that. Lightning, but
yeah, see, I don't remember the music from Lightning Returns either.
But in a series known for its music, it needs to be more than serviceable. That shit needs to rock, man, and it doesn't.
No, it's a different composer for Final Fantasy 13. I'm not going to try and pronounce his name, but his last name is Wannabe.
Well, no, that's actually a pair.
That's a writer.
It's Masashi Hamazu and then Naoshi Mizuta, who Naoshi Mizuta is paired with Nobuo in this one. So,
aha! My ears do not deceive me when I can tell the difference between. Yeah.
Yeah, I would find that probably the 13 music is probably far more entertaining than this one. Yeah, more dynamic themes, more hymns, more upbeats, more vibratos, and this music is not strong enough.
See, you can tell the music between Nobuo, Mitsuda, and Shimura, and then there's the rest of the other guys.
Yeah, definitely. So, any other thoughts on music? I mean, you can get the soundtrack now because it's been released.
Oh, wow. I wonder how many people went ahead and picked that up. It's probably going double wood at this point.
Maybe. I'm not going to say it's like my number one thing to go get right now.
Really?
Really? It's probably on sale on the Square Enix store.
You don't want to pay 10 shipping for a $14 CD?
No,
definitely not. No. Especially for me.
I don't even want to come anywhere near as much as I paid for all the previous. No. That is a footnote we're never going to come back to.
But you just came back to it, so...
Yeah. So, hang on, you did $15 on...
Your digital sprite work.
Yeah, you did $15 on this game, and you did $28 on ATB, so... Still got a little bit of a buffer. Yeah.
My $15 was well spent on this game for the length of time I spent on it versus ATB. So far, my investment's well spent. The $28, I'm never going to get that back.
Yeah.
Never going to get that.
If you're going to make this thing for mobile phones, the game should be free.
I can't honestly expect a game to be totally free on a mobile phone. If you want a game to actually feel like it has worth and value, you should put a price tag on it. If it's this amount of effort and work and putting a game in this long, it's a more than a 50-hour game. You need to put some kind of currency on it. It can't be free. I would literally denounce its own existence if it was for free. This game is too much to be free. I mean, I feel at least I supported the fact that it's a nice game for $15 for 4. Yeah, the fact the chapter version is kind of a bit of a bummer. You shouldn't have done that. You should have done it all in one shot.
Yeah, now it's $15.
Yeah.
Back when this thing was out, I believe the total of the whole thing, if you bought it chapter by chapter, it was $32.
Probably. Yeah. But at that time, yeah. I would have not invested that money. I would have waited. Sorry, guys.
So should we talk about design?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the price talk we can leave to development.
Yeah. So, all right. For the what did you guys think about the overall design of this game?
Trash.
Well, it's nice. It's nice to go back to the old 16-bit style, but I can understand Jake's dislike of the new sort of 16-bit style that Square seems to have decided to.
The third-party developers have decided to go with.
Yeah, they've decided. You know what? The old sprites we don't like. So here you get these nice new cartoony ones.
Yeah,
I can understand that, but I do like the overall. I do like going back to the SNES sort of era of JRPGs, where you've got the basic overworld, your little inns, your little maps in the towns, and your little characters. I kind of like it.
I feel like I'm a little bit biased by having to enjoy more of the highly defined games with all that extra effort of like color and depth and shadows and feels. The what they've done with the Steam version, as cartoony as it appears, has more depth in the shadows and the effects in it than this one does. This one feels it's just I'd say a little bit of a rush job, but enough where they could define the characters to what they look differently than anybody else. And each of the characters has their own different unique version of their costumes. So at least they stand out independently. It's not like you have the same suit for each person. So it's not bad. It's just not super awesome.
Yeah, I think by modern standards, it's fairly poor, but it wasn't even designed for modern smartphones. It was originally designed for the I've got to get this right, the FOMA 903i, which is an old Japanese flip phone.
Damn. Japanese and their exclusive games to flip phones.
Yeah, well, it's like there's the Final Fantasy VII game on the flip phones that we never got.
Is that the same phone for the Dirge Cerberus and the Final Fantasy VII games? Is that what it's designed for?
I think it might be. But yeah, I know there was a Final Fantasy VII game that was released only in Japan on flip phones.
Yeah, the
Before Crisis.
Before Crisis.
Snowboarding and Before Crisis. Which I believe, Bill, you had notified us to a development website that had a fan translation of that almost fully completed.
No, it's quite impressive actually. The guy who posted it on the old UFF forums, he's actually completely designed the game from scratch. But it's completely faithful to the original Japanese flip phone version. And yeah, he's then fan translated it as well. So there is a playable copy, but you can only play it on your PC.
Well, it's better than nothing. I mean, it's still a mobile game. I figure we should probably put it up to snuff on our review.
We could do. That'll take us up to 10 more games if you include Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition.
Oh, no.
See, no. I have no problem with any mobile game being on my PC because I'm going to tell you guys this: if Mobius was not on Steam, I would not participate. I would quit for the Mobius episode. I'm just saying, because I'm not buying a $400 phone to play Mobius, or however much it's going to take to load that kind of thing. So, if it's only on PC, that's a good thing.
Sure, you don't want to invest that nice, well-rounded amount of money cash to feel like you're part of the actual real-world society and actually get the
by buying an iPhone.
I would say an iPhone. I said just buy like a nice Droid. If there's some nice consumable Droids now for like $200 that'll play this game. Not well, but it'll play the game.
You got a PC, Corinne. I got a PC.
Yeah. That's a nice little trade-off for Square. They would really need to import a lot of the games onto Steam. I think that was a good investment for them to incorporate Mobius onto that, because that game is so highly over-designed for a mobile phone that it needed a functional hard drive in order to run it.
Yeah, there's a lot. When you play it on mobile, there's a lot of internet loading screens.
Yes,
like almost like what we had with all the with Brave Exvius, but doubled.
Yeah,
you get
that intro on Mobius is long,
very very long.
At least it's more entertaining than the Brave Exvius intro of just seeing those guys on chocobos running across the screen in stop motion. Going nowhere.
Oh, jeez, yeah, I know what you're talking about. It would be rough. Just step. Crazy. But I'm looking at a lot of the sprite designs, and they look kind of blotty. Like,
what for? Going back to Dimensions.
Yeah. Okay, this may be an unpopular opinion, but it's clearly in the same vein of FF5 and FF6 Android versions.
Yeah, which I played on Steam, which Yeah, they are very similar. They're a little bit cartoony.
Yeah, not the biggest
See,
fan
I like it. I like that new version, but I think I'm in the minority here. I think, Jake, your opinion's a lot more popular. I think people hate the new sprite versions.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of hate for it online, at least.
Yeah, I could see the bleed-through kind of aspect of their overall design. It feels like it's like they've gained weight in their definition because of the color in there has caused them to... They stand out more, but at the same time, not for the right reasons. They don't. They could have done more shadow effects and made it more entertaining to look at.
Yeah, but I mean, the reason Square have done that is to bring it more into like a more current style, because the older generation, such as ourselves, who played the original games, we like the old style because that's what it was and that's how we loved it. The new style is kind of. They've done that because there are going to be kids who are going to get into Final Fantasy 15 and then they're going to look on their phone. They're going to see Final Fantasy 5 and 6. And if I looked on my phone as a young kid and I saw the old sprites, I'd think, that looks naff. I probably wouldn't go back to it as much. Whereas if I saw a nice, bright, shiny game with updated graphics that looks a bit more polished, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll give that a try. So that's me putting my marketing hat on. I can see how Square are trying to bleed every extra penny out of us. But
right.
This is why they're doing the remastering overall for a lot of their games for new generations of people to play to come back and feel like they're part of can feel that they've touched on old school and new school and not feel underappreciated that they didn't bother to update themselves.
Like the remakes of 4 and 3, where they're 3D backgrounds. They are essentially the exact same layout as they were before in the 2D games.
As long as there's a developer willing to work on the game, Square Enix gets a paycheck. They're going to sign off on anything pertaining to Final Fantasy at this point. But I will agree with you probably on 5 because the sprite work and the color, even on the PlayStation version of 5, is kind of meh. It is not a good port. But if I, even as a kid, saw the sprites for FF6 from Super Nintendo versus the Android version, I have to disagree with you. I have to disagree with you on that. The sprites in 6 still blow it out of the water. But that's just my opinion.
I like this style. I like the original style from 6. But again, if I was 10-year-old Bill again, sitting there playing Final Fantasy 6, and it was the Android version in front of me while I held my SNES controller, I'd still be like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! Look at how polished these sprites are. Like, there's no blockiness. They're all smooth."
Right?
Because I'd never seen a smooth game by that point. The closest thing you had to it was Mortal Kombat, and they were just
smooth. What?
Well, the outline was smooth because they were hand drawn.
Yeah.
Well, they looked hand drawn anyway.
I think they have to have done a little bit better job for the newer generation people. I think the current generation is not really okay with the overall aspect of the old school. The people have died out and don't really appreciate it anymore of their overall aspect of old school. So I think the new school seems to find more of a appreciation for a little more cartoony graphics. Because as you've noticed on TVs, there's a lot more cartoons out right now than there was in the 90s. Though us as an older generation feel like they're a little bit not deep into the character development. But for the overall quality, I find that the older school is a little bit nicer looking than the new school.
Well, yeah, I mean, nowadays kids have 24-hour cartoons, don't they? I used to remember coming home from school when there was only like an hour and a half of TV where there would be cartoons before it switched over to the news and then terrible like EastEnders dramas that they have on. So that was it. I only got like an hour to watch Turtles, He-Man, and what else was on? Jason and the World Warriors.
Oh my god!
They were very blocky cartoons.
Yeah, I remember watching Ninja Turtles and Ronin Warriors and Voltron as a kid.
Well, there you go. There's the age here. It's just it wasn't even called Ninja Turtles back in the day, was it? It was called Hero Turtles because they thought ninja was too violent. Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Yeah. Yep.
UK and your fucking censorship.
Was that just the UK? I thought that was worldwide. It's called Ninja now, but
Yeah, go check out that UFF episode on censorship where the nunchuck things in what Selfie has for FFA gets a name change for some reason.
and that's okay because I never play a Selfie.
You see it. You have to. You have to when the party splits.
Yeah,
You just close your eyes and bash the buttons until it's over.
And somehow you beat 8 that way? What?
Well, yeah, you can easily just close your eyes and beat 8. Just don't attack anything.
yeah. Just use the card system and turn them all into cards. Turn them all into cards. Turn them all into cards.
Card it and go. Well, yeah. So I think we've pretty much covered design. It's modern but old.
Do you guys want to go into development?
Oh yes. I think Jake's quite excited about this bit.
All right, take it away, Jake.
Like, I don't know. It was a random Japanese-only game that somehow had online, and then they decide to not have it have online for some reason. And then, what was it? Legends Toki no Tsusho. Right? And then it got changed to Dimensions.
Yeah, so it was originally called Final Fantasy Legends.
Yeah.
Out in Japan. But I believe there is already a game called Final Fantasy Legend in Europe and North America, which was a Game Boy game.
Yep. They already have that
Saga.
out.
Yes, which is the Saga series. So in order to try and avoid confusion, despite the fact there's probably only 6 people who played the Game Boy game, they decided to call it Final Fantasy Dimensions instead.
It feels like it's more of an appropriate name rather than Legends, because you are going into the light dimension and the dark dimension and in between dimension.
Yeah, I kind of don't get where they were going with the whole Legends thing. I think they were just trying to make it sound cool.
Yeah, I guess. But Square does like to have those nice fancy schmancy names that just make no sense and have no alternative value.
Revenant Wings.
Oh, God. I think we should put Revenant Wings in the same bracket as All the Bravest.
Yeah.
ATB. Oh, real clever there.
Just pretend it doesn't exist.
Mystic Quest. There's nothing mystic about it.
Oh my god, I still feel that's a nice little kick in the balls to America. A game is specifically designed to be hard on purpose for America, so that it would, they didn't want to buy it, and then they realized they would dumb it down for Americans. Just because America's like, oh, we can play it too
They're
much.
bipolar about that. One day they claim that, it's going to be, easier for us, and then we get like the harder version of games. It's like Tactics Advanced, we have the harder version, and Revenant Wings is the harder version too. So they're bipolar about it. They claim one thing, and then it turns out to be another. So
yeah,
they didn't give us the extra sphere grid for Final Fantasy X. They decided that was too complex for the rest of the world, but they kept it for themselves and called it the international version.
yeah, because they've done that for a while. It seems like Square actually, within its history, has never finished a game the way that they want to, and they kind of do a 1.5 update for everything. Because the original 7 didn't have the weapons. And then later on, a year and a half later, the international version over in Japan has weapons. So it's nothing new that Square hasn't already done re-releases and 2.0s before. So
I think the bit you'll like about this, Jake, is that this is the same internal Square Enix development team that made Final Fantasy IV: The After Years.
Woohoo!
Which had a very similar type of gameplay element with fusion techniques.
Yeah. Fucking bands. The entire game is reliant on bands, period. Like, you swear to God you can't beat the game without bands. It's nuts.
Yeah. So I feel like this is like their fusion department.
Yeah.
The After Years
how
is
can
better.
We squeeze this one idea into every game that we...
Right.
I would agree with you. I think the After Years is a much better game.
Yeah.
I don't know whether that's me being biased because of the fact that because of my liking of FF4 and the characters of FF4, I probably would like the After Years more. But I might like the After Years even more if Alba was in it.
I would too.
Fair point.
I would enjoy the lot more.
I can think of probably most of the mainline Final Fantasy series would be better with Alba in it.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Cindy was from 15 was replaced by Alba.
Oh. I don't know. I like FF. I like the way she is now. But if you had Alba,
I found her very annoying, Cindy.
Every turn, Alba would be turning to you and talking to you, the player, saying, "Where's the story, bro?" That's exactly what she would be doing. What happened? What's going on? And she's doing the J.R. Smith face, the J.R. Smith meme, where she's like, bruh, and the eyes are squinted and shit.
Like, your dad died, bro. Don't you even care? It's like, yeah, you had like 2 minutes in the morning, and then carry on. Dude, you turned to Keanu Reeves. What's happened? Bro. Keanu Reeves knocked us. Anyway, let's not get into that.
No.
Yeah, so the game was directed by Akiyama and Tokita. So my pronunciations of those is probably murder. And it was kind of created with the idea of being like an old school SNES game. That was how they set out from the start. But again, going back to the old Final Fantasy, I think you mentioned previously that. Because they based Dusk and Alba on Palom and Porum.
Yep.
But I think
I can see the basis of the fact that they're magic casters, but in the sense that their overall backstory, they're much more entertaining than Palom and Porum.
Yes, but it's just about their brother and sister. That's like the only connection for me to Palom and Porum.
Yep.
So they didn't have the sacrifice, which then got undone.
Yes, another reason why I'm not really a strong fan of 4. Get all the way up there, kill the guys, and then take it back.
Yeah, apart from Teller. Teller never comes back.
Yeah.
Apart from as a ghostly apparition in After Years.
Oh, yeah, there is that part. Yeah.
Yeah, he comes back by the lake to call Edward a spoony bard again. Nice. Yeah. How can we squeeze in that spoony bard moment again?
Well, I will say that Dimensions pulls the same thing at the end, so... Right? With Glaive.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yes, we're actually going to kill somebody off the way you're supposed to, and then they don't have the balls to do it.
Well, they had already planned to do the killing off of Dusk and Alba when they were planning on sacrificing stuff. I'm not really sure why they needed Glaive to feel like he needed to sacrifice himself to feel appreciated. But I guess he feel like he wasn't going to get any of that love action from
that little girl, you mean?
Yeah. So he's like, no, just do it. Just take over me. Just take over me, bro. Just take over me. Like, I can't do it anymore. I can't deal with her no more. Just take her.
So they bring Dusk and Alba back at the end, don't they?
Yeah, they completely kill off the feeling of sacrifice for the back end of the game. So no, we're fine, and just put in the ghost of Vata and the
good Elgo the mask.
Oh, the mask. Yes, the good.
Yes.
Mask, yeah.
Yeah, I got it.
So they really kept to the feel of Final Fantasy IV then. Let's kill them off and bring them back.
But honestly, I think it was a great choice to bring Alba back at least, because I think the game would feel, or the world in that sense, would probably be a lot less entertaining.
Yeah.
Well, that is
Square
the way
were actually. Oh, sorry, everyone, carry on, Jake.
No worries. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, because Square were actually questioned on the development of this game and the actual high pricing of it. And yeah, their excuse was basically 50 gameplay, so people should cough up.
Oh.
When it's clearly padded.
Yeah.
Yeah, very padded. But I mean, how did you guys feel about paying 15 quid for this game? Did you feel it was worth the money?
15 quid. That's all good.
So, $15 for you, 15 quid.
I think $15 was a good enough investment for this game, because this game has so much length in it that $15 was worth my time, and then if you beat the game and then restart for a new game plus continue afterwards, there's extra dungeons that you can go back and unlock the rest of the jobs.
Oh, I hate
No
taking
shit.
dungeons.
Yeah. But I didn't feel it was a need to go do that.
Grinding JP, isn't there? There's like a super boss that you can repeatedly beat over and over again to get JP to max out all your jobs.
Yeah.
It just seems like such a waste of time.
Yeah, this game is not strong enough for me to feel like I want to go back and play it again. That's my perspective on the replayability. It was a worth investment of the $15, but would I go back and play it again? Probably not.
Yeah, I would probably say a fair price being about $5. Like, between 5 and 8. I think 15's too much. It is a mobile game. There's a fair amount of story and content, but it's just not. It's not. If it's not going to be a mainline Final Fantasy game, you can't charge £15 for a mobile game.
What do you feel would be a better, more accurate price for this game?
Well, yeah, I'd say about £5 or £8.
8. I totally agree with 8 on this. It does not need to be the same price as FF6 is on the mobile store. That's ridiculous.
It's not the same quality as the other sort of games that you can get for 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I can give you that. I think probably at most I would probably pay 10 at this current time, which it has dropped in price since we first bought this game.
Really? It just keeps dropping?
Yeah.
Its value isn't that high?
No, because I think everybody's seen the aspect of the quality of the game and how much it compares to all the originals, and it's just not up to snuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's not quite worth that amount of money, but it's for the time that you put into it. But length over girth, isn't it?
But do you feel like you enjoyed enough of the game to feel like, okay, I got my money's worth out of it?
Well, I do want to go back and finish the game. And
you should.
Once I've finished the game, I will feel like I've got some worth out of it, but whether it's 15 quid's worth, I don't know whether I've enjoyed it that much.
Right. All right, guys. Any last thoughts that you wanted to cover?
I don't particularly think so. I think we've covered it quite thoroughly. Jake, any thoughts?
Not much, other than this thing is definitely rooted in old school.
Yeah. If you do want to play an old school Final Fantasy, this is probably a good shout.
Yeah. If you feel like you've played a lot of the originals too much and you're kind of tired of them, but you want the same feeling, just go ahead and play Dimensions. Like, if you love the old school more, play Dimensions. It's a good call to play in this game.
FF5 job system with a twist.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way of describing it. So, guys, as we have just finished Final Fantasy Dimensions, well, you guys have finished Final Fantasy Dimensions, shall we go for Final Fantasy Dimensions 2, as it's now out, as our next game?
That's totally up to you guys. I've already put my foot in the door and already completed almost 80% of the game, so that's entirely up to you guys if you want to catch up to me or continue with playing either Mobius, or we could go back and retouch the beginning of the next chapter of Brave Exvius, but I don't think it's done all the way.
We're done with Brave Exvius for now. I loved the ending. I don't know if you guys have finished it. It goes very Dragon Ball Z.
Well, I finished up to the
first fight with Soul.
Yeah, that's what we got to.
Yeah, you go a bit further. You have more fights with Soul, and you defeat the darkness. But there's a big, you know how you had that big power-up moment with the Purple Lightning guy? I've forgotten their names now. Laswell, yeah. A bit of storyline where he suddenly found a new power level, and then Rain matched him. Suddenly, at the end of the game, Rain finds a new power level and goes full Dragon Ball and starts flying around and blasting the crap out of shit.
Oh.
It's pretty cool, and then there's a few little twists with the story and characters. There's a sacrifice. There is a sacrifice coming. It's a pretty good ending. But then I played the first 5 minutes of season 2, and I was so disappointed. It was God. There was just like, I can't even explain it. You'd have to play it. First 5 minutes of story is just like, we're back. And it's just like, no, I can't do this.
Previously on Heroes.
Pretty much. They just completely shat on everything that had happened in our story. So, yeah, I think we'll give Seasons 2 for a miss for now.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm happy to play Dimensions 2. I kind of want to play Justice Monsters 5 or whatever it's called.
Just so we can get another episode out of the way?
Well, just because I want to get some of the shit ones out of the way.
I'm blaming you, because that game doesn't really have much of a story. You could essentially play the game for half an hour and have a pretty strong gist of the game.
Yeah.
Same thing all the way.
I don't know if it has credits. If it doesn't, we can just do. If it doesn't, we can all just do a couple of hours and review it. But it's just, I kind of feel like Justice Mon and that King's Knight. Oh no, not the King's Knight. The
New Empire.
What do you call it? New Empire. I feel like they're going to be terrible. So I just want to get them out of the way.
Like,
so we're not left.
Any of these mobile games have been something to root and rave about to begin with.
But the different levels of crap. Different
rape is still rape.
Oh man, why are you gonna refer to rape? I don't think it's rape.
Rape is still rape unless it's gang rape.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, all right. We gotta tone it down a little bit. We might have little kids listen to this story.
Yeah, sorry.
I think they've already been like mentally incapable, like by having to play this. So. There's something completely wrong with you if you go, I'm going to play Dimensions.
Well, so there's something wrong with all of us then.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I'm down for Dimensions too. We'll do it.
Dimensions 2.
Yeah. And then we'll crank out
some we'll do Justice Mon afterwards. Get rid of some of the really bad ones.
Okay.
Play like 3 hours of it, compare scores, and then call it a day.
Yeah.
Sounds good. It'll be a nice 5-minute episode.
Yeah.
Or we could do an episode of all 3 of the Final Fantasy 15 games.
The New Empire Pocket Edition.
Not Pocket Editions. There's the King's Knight.
Oh. Yeah.
King's Knight, Justice Mon 5, and the New Empire.
That should not even count.
I feel like the New Empire is going to have a campaign to it. It is a tower defense game, but I feel like it's going to be like playing StarCraft, where essentially you're going to have to build up your troops and then have to defend your castle from a certain amount of things.
I think that's exactly what it is.
So,
but based on those farming units.
Yeah, it's going to be like it's going to have a campaign. I feel it's going to take some time, and I don't want to just cram it all into one episode and take some time out of it. And then a King's Knight is the reimagining of their original King's Knight game back in the 80s. So that one has a full campaign in that too. But that fits as a plan, so I'm okay with you guys doing Dimensions 2 so catch up to me. And that way we can have this knocked out.
Yeah, we'll do Dimensions 2, then this can be our Dimension season.
Yeah, that'll work for me.
Cool.
Yep.
Fine, guys.
All right,
well, that's been another episode of Muff.
Long-awaited episode of Muff.
Yep. The mobile Ultimate Final Fantasy podcast. Boom.
Thanks for enjoying the muffins with us, guys.
Forever smelled the muff.
Live always in the muff.
Muff
off.
off. Muff off.
Yeah. Muff off.